Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about something we've all experienced at some point in our lives, heartbreak. It's one of the most painful emotions we can go through. It feels like the world has stopped, and in many ways it does. But here's the truth. Your heartbreak will get better, and it will get better when you take control and do these 5 things. Acknowledging your pain and allowing yourself to truly feel is one of the most important and sometimes challenging steps in healing from heartbreak. Often, when we experience emotional pain, there's a natural instinct to avoid it, mask it, or rush through it. Society teaches us to be strong, to move on quickly, and to suppress what we're going through in favor of appearing okay. But the truth is, you can't heal from something you're unwilling to face. If you try to skip over your emotions, pretending like everything is fine when it's not, you're only prolonging your suffering. When you acknowledge your pain, you give yourself permission to be human. You allow yourself to feel sad, angry, hurt, confused, or even betrayed. These feelings are valid. Heartbreak is a significant emotional experience. And trying to ignore it or act like it doesn't matter only leads to emotional numbness or unresolved hurt. You might think that by pushing your feelings away, you're being strong or tough. But in reality, you're just suppressing your emotions, which only causes them to build up over time. If left unchecked, these suppressed feelings can manifest in other areas of your life, affecting your mental and physical health, your relationships with others, and your ability to fully heal. Allowing yourself to feel your pain means giving yourself space to grieve. Just like any other loss, a broken heart is something that requires time and attention to heal. It's normal to feel like you're mourning something you've lost, and there's no shame in that. You may experience a range of emotions: sadness, loneliness, anger, even guilt. All of these feelings need to be processed. When you allow yourself to experience the pain fully, you're not letting it control you. Instead, you're confronting it head on and taking the necessary steps to heal. This process doesn't mean wallowing in sadness or allowing your pain to define you, but it does mean giving yourself permission to cry, to be upset, to feel disappointed. If you don't allow yourself to experience these feelings, you risk carrying emotional baggage that can cloud your judgment in the future. When you face your pain with honesty, it's like taking the first step toward emotional freedom. You release the hold that unaddressed emotions have over you and start to reclaim control of your life. A lot of times we think that we should just move on or get over it quickly because we don't want to seem weak. But grief, heartbreak, and emotional pain aren't things you can rush. Healing is a personal journey, and it requires a space where you can reflect on what happened, what you learned, and what you need moving forward. In those moments of vulnerability, you start to understand the depths of what you've been through, and you give yourself the chance to rebuild. Ignoring your pain only keeps you tied to it, but acknowledging it and processing it allows you to move through it. By acknowledging your pain, you're creating room for growth. You're honoring your emotions instead of denying them. And as difficult as it may be, this step is one of the most powerful actions you can take to heal. You are allowing yourself to be whole and authentic. And in doing so, you open the door to emotional clarity and eventual peace. Prioritizing self-care after heartbreak is one of the most essential steps you can take toward healing. When your heart feels broken, it's easy to get caught in a whirlwind of negative thoughts, intense emotions, and physical exhaustion. Your body and mind are taxed, and it can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. During these times, self-care becomes your anchor, offering you the ability to regain a sense of control and calm amidst the chaos. Taking time to nurture yourself isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. Self-care isn't merely about pampering yourself with a spa day or a bubble bath. It's about doing the things that restore you emotionally, mentally, and physically. It's about setting aside time to recharge and invest in your well-being. Often when we experience heartbreak, we neglect ourselves. We forget to eat properly. We don't sleep enough. And we become consumed with thoughts of the past or fears about the future. We feel like we're stuck in a place of pain. And that feeling can drain our energy and spirit. However, taking active steps towards self-care allows you to rebuild that energy and give yourself permission to heal. One of the first areas to focus on when practicing self-care is your physical health. You may not feel like it, but regular exercise can help reduce stress and elevate your mood. Exercise is known to release endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals. It doesn't have to be intense workouts at the gym. Even something as simple as going for a walk or practicing yoga can make a difference in how you feel. These activities don't just benefit your body, they also clear your mind, allowing you to focus on the present moment rather than the pain of the past. Taking care of your physical health creates a solid foundation for emotional healing. Physical self-care, nourishing your mind is equally important. This is the time to be gentle with your thoughts and avoid self-criticism. After heartbreak, many of us become our harshest critics, blaming ourselves for what went wrong or questioning our worth. But during this time of healing, it's crucial to practice self-compassion. Speak to yourself as you would speak to a close friend who is hurting. Offer yourself the kindness and understanding you would give to others. Let go of self-judgment and accept that your feelings are valid. Just because you're hurting doesn't mean you're weak or inadequate. It means you're human. Mental self-care also includes taking time to unwind and disconnect from overwhelming thoughts. Meditation, journaling, and mindfulness exercises can help quiet the noise in your head and bring clarity to your emotions. These practices allow you to reflect on your journey, release lingering anger or regret, and cultivate a sense of peace. By giving your mind a space to process and heal, you begin to regain your inner balance, making it easier to move forward. Self-care is surrounding yourself with supportive people. After heartbreak, it's tempting to isolate yourself, but that only deepens the sense of loneliness and despair. Instead, reach out to trusted friends, family, or a therapist who can offer encouragement and perspective. Positive relationships are a key part of the healing process. They remind you that you're not alone, that your worth is not defined by a relationship, and that better days are ahead. Through self-care, you make a commitment to yourself that your well-being is a priority. It's about putting yourself first, even when everything else feels uncertain. By practicing self-care, you show yourself that you are worthy of love, kindness, and respect, not just from others, but from yourself. It's the foundation that allows you to heal, grow stronger, and eventually open your heart to new possibilities. Cutting ties with reminders of the past is one of the most powerful and necessary actions you can take when recovering from heartbreak. After the end of a relationship, it's natural to feel a deep connection to the memories, the places, and even the things that once represented love and companionship. However, those very reminders, whether physical or digital, can keep you tethered to the past, preventing you from fully healing and moving forward. Every time you scroll through old pictures, listen to shared songs, or even drive by places you used to visit together, you're reopening the wounds no matter how much time has passed. It's essential to create space for emotional recovery. And that often means removing what no longer serves your healing journey. One of the first steps in cutting ties is to remove physical items that are closely associated with the relationship. Whether it's gifts, clothes, or photos, these items can evoke strong memories and emotions that are counterproductive to your healing process. You might feel a sense of attachment to these things because they once brought happiness, but you must ask yourself, are they bringing you peace now? Likely not. These physical reminders, even if unintentional, are emotionally charged. Keeping them around keeps the past alive in your present, making it harder to let go and start anew. Letting go of these items isn't about erasing the relationship. It's about making a conscious decision to stop letting the past dictate your emotional state. You are worthy of moving on, and clearing your environment of emotional triggers is a step toward reclaiming control over your heart and mind. The next step in cutting ties is to evaluate your digital connections. Social media, in particular, can be one of the biggest culprits in keeping you emotionally stuck. The temptation to check up on your ex, look at their posts, or even compare your life to theirs can be overwhelming. Yet every time you do, you're feeding the cycle of heartache. It's a reminder of the loss, the confusion, and the questions that may still linger in your mind. Unfollowing, unfriending, or even blocking their profile can create the necessary boundary for healing. It doesn't mean you're bitter or angry. It means you are prioritizing your well-being. You're taking control of what you expose yourself to and ensuring that your emotional state is no longer influenced by someone else's actions or presence in your life. You deserve to heal without being constantly reminded of the relationship. Equally important is the act of cutting ties with shared spaces or experiences that are tied to the relationship. Certain places or activities may hold memories that, instead of comforting you, may stir up pain or sadness. This can be as simple as avoiding restaurants you used to frequent together or taking a different route on your daily commute. These small changes might feel challenging at first, but they help to break the emotional connection you have to those spaces. By creating new memories in those places, whether you're with friends or enjoying time alone, you reclaim your environment and create an emotional reset. Over time, the memories of the relationship will fade from these spaces and they'll take on new meanings for you. Cutting ties doesn't mean erasing the relationship entirely. It's about creating a healthy distance that allows you to heal. It's a way to stop holding on to something that's no longer serving you and to make room for personal growth, peace, and eventually new experiences. It can be difficult, even painful, to remove these reminders. But you must remember, you can't move forward while you're still holding on to the past. Letting go is an act of love for yourself, and it's one of the most powerful things you can do in your healing journey. Healing from heartbreak is not something that happens overnight, and it's important to recognize that the process takes time. There is no quick fix or magic solution for moving past emotional pain, and anyone who tells you that you should just get over it is oversimplifying the complexity of healing. Each person's journey is unique, and the timeline for recovery isn't something that can be dictated by external forces. It's essential to give yourself permission to heal at your own pace without rushing the process. The pressure to move on quickly can feel overwhelming, especially in a society that often praises people who appear to bounce back easily after heartbreak. We're bombarded with messages that suggest you should be over someone within a certain time frame, and if you're not, there's something wrong with you. But the reality is that everyone experiences heartbreak differently, and the emotions tied to it can be deep and complex. It's okay to take your time to grieve, process, and heal. The time it takes for you to heal is a reflection of your emotional depth and your ability to learn from the experience. If you rush through your healing, you may skip over essential steps like fully understanding what happened, what went wrong, and what you need to learn from the situation. These are the steps that ultimately help you avoid repeating the same mistakes in future relationships. It's also important to recognize that healing isn't linear. You may think you've made progress only to find yourself struggling again after a certain memory resurfaces or a difficult thought crosses your mind. This is normal. Heartbreak is a process, not a destination, and healing comes in waves. Some days you will feel better, and other days you might feel as though you're right back at square one. This emotional ebb and flow can be disheartening, but it's also part of the natural course of recovery. It's crucial to understand that setbacks don't mean failure. They are simply part of your journey. And as long as you continue to show up for yourself, you are moving forward. Allowing yourself to heal without rushing gives you the opportunity to understand your emotions more fully. It's easy to ignore the pain and try to move on quickly, But when you take your time, you create space to reflect on the relationship and how it has shaped you. This reflection can provide you with insights that you may not have access to in the immediate aftermath of the breakup. You can explore what you learned from the experience and identify patterns or behaviors that you want to avoid in the future. This self-awareness is essential for growth and ensures that you don't carry unnecessary emotional baggage into the next phase of your life. Part of healing is also about letting go of unrealistic expectations. We live in a world that often romanticizes the idea of getting over someone, but real healing doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's a messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes frustrating process. And that's okay. You can't force yourself to be happy or to feel fine just because others expect you to. Healing happens at the pace that your heart and mind need it to. When you stop trying to force an outcome and simply give yourself permission to take it slow, you create the conditions for genuine healing to take place. Don't let anyone else's timeline or judgment make you feel like you're behind or taking too long to heal. Trust in your own process. Healing is yours to navigate. And when you give yourself the time and space to do so, you'll emerge stronger and more resilient on the other side. Learning from the experience of heartbreak is one of the most powerful ways to turn pain into growth. Heartbreak, as devastating as it can feel, also offers a valuable opportunity to understand yourself better, reflect on what went wrong, and gain deeper insights into what you truly need in relationships. When we go through such emotional turmoil, it's easy to focus solely on the hurt and the loss, but it's essential to shift your perspective and look for the lessons that this experience has taught you. First and foremost, heartbreak can teach you about your own emotional needs. In the midst of a relationship, it's easy to overlook what you truly require from a partner, as you often prioritize the connection over self-awareness. But once the relationship ends, you are left with the space to reflect on the things that truly matter to you. What did you feel was lacking in the relationship? What were the red flags you ignored? Were your emotional needs being met, or did you sacrifice them for the sake of the relationship? These questions allow you to reconnect with yourself and become more aware of what you need in future relationships. By understanding what went wrong, you can set better boundaries and communicate more effectively in the future. Heartbreak also gives you the chance to learn more about your patterns and behaviors in relationships. Many of us tend to repeat the same mistakes over and over again, often without realizing it. After experiencing heartbreak, take the time to reflect on the dynamics of the relationship. Were there unhealthy patterns that emerged? Did you find yourself compromising too much of your own happiness, or did you struggle to be vulnerable and honest? By identifying the patterns that led to the heartbreak, you can make a conscious effort to break them. Relationships are a mirror of our own behaviors. And by understanding how we contribute to the dynamics, we empower ourselves to make better choices in the future. Another valuable lesson that heartbreak teaches us is about our own resilience. When you experience emotional pain, it can feel like the end of the world, and it's easy to believe that you'll never recover. However, over time, you'll begin to realize that you have an incredible capacity for healing. You learn that you can move through pain, that you can pick yourself up, and that you can build a stronger version of yourself. The strength you discover within yourself during this time is not something you knew you had until you were faced with adversity. You gain a deeper understanding of your own emotional resilience and the tools you develop to cope with difficult situations. Heartbreak can also teach you about the importance of self-love and self-worth. After a breakup, especially if you've been emotionally hurt, it's common to question your value. You might feel rejected, not good enough, or like you're somehow to blame for the relationship's failure. But the truth is that your worth is not dependent on another person's love or approval. Heartbreak teaches you that you are enough just as you are. This experience gives you the opportunity to reconnect with yourself, practice self-compassion, and remind yourself that you deserve love, respect, and happiness on your own terms. Learning from heartbreak can teach you about the impermanence of life. Nothing in life is guaranteed, and relationships, no matter how strong they may seem at the time, can change. Accepting the ebb and flow of life seasons allows you to appreciate the beauty of each moment without taking anything for granted. Heartbreak helps you understand that while some chapters end, others begin, and life has a way of offering new opportunities for growth, connection, and love. It reminds you that pain is temporary and it will eventually fade, making room for new experiences that will shape you in unexpected ways. Setting boundaries with others and yourself is an essential practice for emotional recovery after heartbreak. When we go through a difficult breakup, it can feel as if the lines between our emotional needs, desires, and the expectations of others become blurred. Sometimes the people around us may unintentionally add to our pain, or we may find ourselves caught in unhealthy patterns that prolong the healing process. Setting boundaries is a powerful way to take back control of your emotional space and ensure that you're protecting your well-being. One of the first steps in setting boundaries is understanding that it's okay to say no. After a breakup, people may have their own opinions or expectations of how you should handle things. Friends and family might suggest that you should move on quickly or that you should get back out there and start dating again. While their intentions may be good, their advice may not always align with what you need to heal. You are the only one who knows what you need in your recovery process. And it's perfectly fine to say no to anything that feels too soon, too overwhelming, or not in alignment with your emotional state. Saying no is not about being selfish. It's about honoring your own pace and emotional capacity. Another aspect of setting boundaries is distancing yourself from the person who caused the heartbreak. This can be one of the most difficult steps, especially if you were deeply connected with someone, but it is often the most necessary. Constantly being in contact with your ex can make it harder to let go and move on. Whether it's through text, phone calls, or social media, staying in touch with them keeps you emotionally tethered to the past. It might seem tempting to keep the door open for reconciliation or closure, but the reality is that contact prolongs the healing process and prevents you from creating the emotional distance you need to fully recover. It's okay to take a break from communication and to establish a no contact period to give yourself the space you need. Boundaries also extend to the way you talk to yourself. After a breakup, we often become our own worst critics. We replay every moment of the relationship, second guess our decisions, and blame ourselves for things that may not even be our fault. The internal dialogue can become harsh, and we start to question our value. But setting boundaries with yourself means recognizing when these thoughts are no longer helpful and actively working to shift them. Instead of berating yourself for the end of the relationship, practice self-compassion. Remind yourself that you did the best you could with the information and emotions you had at the time. Healing from heartbreak requires kindness toward yourself. And by setting boundaries with your thoughts, you protect your emotional well-being from unnecessary self-inflicted harm. Another key aspect of boundaries is recognizing when you need to prioritize yourself over others. It's natural to want to seek validation from friends, family, or even the attention of others. But when you're healing from a breakup, it's important to focus on your own needs first. Avoid falling into the trap of people pleasing or seeking constant reassurance from others. Your healing journey is about reconnecting with yourself. And that requires self-reflection, introspection, and solitude at times. Setting boundaries with others means saying no to things that don't align with your healing process, whether it's attending social events that feel emotionally draining or engaging in conversations that rehash the details of your breakup. By setting boundaries, you are taking control of your emotional health and ensuring that you're making choices that support your healing. Boundaries help you reclaim your peace, protect your energy, and focus on what truly matters, your own growth and recovery. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out or being distant. It's about honoring yourself and creating the space you need to heal, grow, and eventually embrace new opportunities in life. Forgiving yourself after a heartbreak is one of the most important steps in your healing process. Often, after the end of a relationship, we find ourselves drowning in guilt, regret, or feelings of inadequacy. We replay the moments where we feel we could have done better, where things could have gone differently, or when we made mistakes. These thoughts can keep us stuck in a cycle of self-blame, preventing us from fully moving on and healing. But forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, is a transformative tool that allows us to release those negative emotions and start rebuilding our lives. Self-forgiveness is recognizing that you are human. Heartbreak often brings with it the harsh realization that relationships don't always work out, no matter how much effort we put in. It's easy to internalize the failure of a relationship as a personal flaw, but it's important to understand that it's not about your worth or your value. Relationships are complex, and many factors contribute to their success or failure. By acknowledging that you are only human and that everyone makes mistakes, you allow yourself the grace to forgive. You did the best you could at the time with the information, emotions, and circumstances you had. Mistakes are part of the process and they don't define who you are. Next, it's essential to separate your identity from the relationship. After a breakup, especially one that ended badly or unexpectedly, it's easy to equate the relationship's end with your own failure or unworthiness. But it's important to recognize that the end of a relationship doesn't define you. You are not a failure simply because something didn't work out. Your identity should not be wrapped up in the relationship, nor should you let the way someone else treated you dictate how you see yourself. Forgiving yourself means releasing any negative labels you've attached to yourself and accepting that the relationship's end doesn't diminish your value as a person. Self-forgiveness also requires letting go of the what ifs and the guilt that often follow a breakup. We often ask ourselves questions like, what if I had done things differently? Or what if I had fought harder? These questions can haunt us, but they only serve to keep us in the past, preventing us from moving forward. The truth is that there is no way to know how things would have turned out had you acted differently. What's done is done, and dwelling on it will only hinder your growth. Forgiving yourself means accepting that the choices you made were based on what you knew at the time and that they were a part of your journey. You did not have control over every aspect of the relationship, and you can't change the past. All you can do is learn from it and use it to become stronger and wiser in the future. A big part of forgiveness is also about letting go of the shame and the negative self-talk that comes with heartbreak. It's easy to internalize hurt and project it outward onto yourself, thinking you're not good enough, that you weren't deserving of love, or that you weren't enough for the other person. But this is not the truth. Heartbreak can make you feel like you failed, but that is not the case. You are worthy of love and respect, and the end of this relationship doesn't diminish that. To forgive yourself is to stop the cycle of self-criticism and self-doubt, and to replace those thoughts with self-love and compassion. Forgiving yourself also involves recognizing that this is a process. It's not something that happens instantly. There will be days when the guilt and regret resurface, and that's okay. Healing takes time, and self-forgiveness is a continuous practice. But as you move forward, you will start to notice that the pain becomes less intense, the guilt less frequent, and the sense of self-doubt less pervasive. Each time you forgive yourself, you move one step closer to releasing the burden of the past and embracing the future with a renewed sense of peace and strength. Taking care of your emotional well-being during a heartbreak is essential to ensuring that you heal properly and don't carry unnecessary baggage into future relationships. When you go through a painful breakup, it's easy to get lost in your emotions and let the hurt consume you. However, emotional self-care is an active process that involves taking deliberate steps to nurture and protect your mental health. It's not just about feeling better in the moment, it's about giving yourself the tools to heal deeply and rebuild your confidence and strength. One of the first steps in caring for your emotional well-being is allowing yourself to feel. Too often we suppress our emotions in the name of staying strong or avoiding vulnerability. We might convince ourselves that we need to move on quickly and avoid facing the pain. But suppressing your feelings only delays healing and can cause long-term emotional damage. It's essential to give yourself permission to feel every emotion that arises, whether it's sadness, anger, frustration, or even relief. Emotions are not something to be ashamed of. They are part of being human. By acknowledging and expressing your feelings in healthy ways, you give yourself the freedom to process them and move through them, rather than letting them fester. Feeling your emotions, it's important to practice self-compassion. After a breakup, it's easy to be hard on yourself, blaming yourself for the end of the relationship or questioning your worth. But self-compassion means being kind to yourself in your moments of pain. Instead of criticizing yourself for not being perfect, try offering yourself the same kindness you would offer a close friend going through a similar situation. Understand that healing is a process and that it's okay to take your time. Remind yourself that you are deserving of love, peace, and joy, even if it doesn't feel that way right now. Treat yourself with care, patience, and understanding. Emotional well-being is setting healthy boundaries. After a breakup, it can be tempting to stay in contact with your ex, hoping for closure or the possibility of reconciliation. However, this often prolongs the healing process and keeps you emotionally attached to the past. Setting boundaries means cutting off communication, at least temporarily, to give yourself the space to heal. It's not about being spiteful or angry. It's about protecting your emotional space and allowing yourself to gain the distance you need to reflect and move on. Boundaries also apply to the people around you. While friends and family may want to help, it's important to communicate your needs and let them know what kind of support is most beneficial for you during this time. Taking care of your emotional well-being also involves engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Heartbreak can drain your energy and leave you feeling empty, but it's crucial to find things that lift your spirits, even if it's in small ways. Whether it's pursuing a hobby, spending time with loved ones, or engaging in physical activity, doing things that make you feel good can help you reconnect with a sense of purpose and happiness. It's easy to lose yourself in the sadness of a breakup, but by intentionally choosing activities that nurture your soul, you are reminding yourself that life is still full of opportunities for growth and joy. Seeking professional support when necessary is a key component of emotional well-being. Sometimes the pain of a breakup can feel overwhelming, and it may be difficult to navigate it on your own. Speaking with a therapist or counselor can provide you with valuable insights and tools to cope with the emotional challenges you're facing. There's no shame in seeking help. In fact, it's a brave step toward healing. A professional can help you process your feelings, gain clarity about the situation, and develop strategies for moving forward. Taking care of your emotional well-being is an ongoing process, and it requires commitment and patience. By allowing yourself to feel, practicing self-compassion, setting boundaries, engaging in positive activities, and seeking professional support when needed, you are building a solid foundation for emotional recovery. This self-care is essential not only for getting over the heartbreak, but also for ensuring that you emerge from it stronger, wiser, and more equipped to embrace new opportunities in your life. Letting go of the past is one of the most powerful and freeing steps you can take in the healing process after a heartbreak. It's easy to become attached to memories, feelings, and ideas about what was or what could have been. Holding on to these emotions and experiences can keep you tethered to a past that no longer serves you, preventing you from moving forward and embracing new opportunities in your life. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or dismissing the significance of the relationship, but it means accepting the end, releasing the emotional hold it has over you, and creating space for healing and growth. One of the first things to recognize is that the past cannot be changed. No matter how much you may wish that things had turned out differently, the reality is that the relationship ended and no amount of dwelling on the past will bring it back. Holding on to regret or trying to rewrite the story in your mind only prolongs the pain. It's essential to acknowledge that what's done is done, and the only thing you can control now is how you choose to move forward. Letting go starts with accepting the reality of the situation, embracing that the past is behind you, and focusing on what you can do in the present moment to heal and grow. Another aspect of letting go is recognizing that it's okay to feel sadness, but it's also important to let go of the attachment to that sadness. It's normal to grieve the end of a relationship, as it represents a loss of connection, shared experiences, and a future that you envision together. However, the key is not to let that sadness consume you. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that the sadness will define you, but it doesn't have to. Acknowledge your emotions and allow yourself to mourn, but don't let those emotions keep you stuck in the past. The grief will fade with time, but you must create space for new emotions and experiences to enter your life. Letting go also involves forgiving not just the other person, but yourself. When a relationship ends, it's easy to point fingers and assign blame. Maybe you feel like the other person hurt you, or perhaps you feel guilty for not doing more to save the relationship. The truth is, both parties contribute to the dynamics of a relationship, and assigning blame only keeps you in a negative and unproductive state. Holding on to anger or resentment towards the other person only gives them power over your emotions. Instead, let go of that bitterness and choose to forgive. This doesn't mean condoning their behavior or ignoring the pain they may have caused you, but it does mean releasing the grip of anger that holds you hostage. Similarly, forgiving yourself for any mistakes you think you made helps you to let go of guilt and self-blame, allowing you to move on with a sense of peace and acceptance. A crucial part of letting go is clearing out physical reminders of the relationship. This can be a difficult step, especially if you shared a lot of experiences or had meaningful possessions together. But holding on to physical reminders can keep you emotionally attached to the past and make it harder to move forward. You don't have to throw everything away, but packing away items that trigger painful memories can help create the emotional distance you need to heal. Whether it's old photographs, gifts, or mementos, putting them in a box and storing them away is a symbolic act of letting go and making room for new memories and experiences. Letting go means focusing on your own growth and well-being. After a heartbreak, it's easy to become consumed by thoughts of the past and the relationship that's no longer part of your life. But true healing comes when you shift your focus towards yourself. This is the perfect opportunity to rediscover your passions, invest in your personal growth, and take the time to nurture your body, mind, and soul. By choosing to prioritize your own well-being, you're taking the necessary steps to move forward, free yourself from the emotional weight of the past, and embrace the future with a renewed sense of purpose and possibility. Healing from a heartbreak requires patience and a conscious decision to move forward, which often involves reestablishing your sense of self. When a relationship ends, it's easy to feel as though a part of you has been taken away. Your identity may have been intertwined with the relationship, and the breakup leaves you questioning who you are outside of that dynamic. Rebuilding your self-esteem and sense of self-worth is crucial because it allows you to reconnect with who you are without relying on someone else's validation. Reclaiming your individuality is not about forgetting the relationship or the lessons learned, but rather about honoring the person you are and the growth that can come from this challenging experience. Reconnecting with your sense of self is allowing yourself the space to rediscover your passions and interests. Often in a relationship, you may have made compromises and adjusted your routines, hobbies, or social circles to accommodate your partner's preferences. After a breakup, it's important to return to the things that brought you joy before the relationship. Whether that's a hobby you put on hold, a dream you postponed, or simply spending time doing activities that make you feel whole. Re-engaging with these things helps you remember who you were before the relationship and gives you the opportunity to experience joy and fulfillment on your own terms without relying on someone else for happiness. Reconnecting with yourself is focusing on self-care and self-compassion. It's easy to neglect yourself when you're grieving, but taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being is essential in the healing process. Self-care can come in many forms, whether it's indulging in a relaxing bath, exercising to release pent-up emotions, journaling your thoughts, or simply resting. Listening to your body and your needs helps you reset and reclaim your energy, which might have been drained during the emotional turmoil of the relationship. Self-compassion, on the other hand, involves being kind to yourself, recognizing that healing takes time, and not criticizing yourself for feeling vulnerable or uncertain. Treating yourself with the same care and understanding you would offer a loved one can help rebuild your confidence and help you see yourself in a positive light again. As you rebuild your self-esteem, it's important to set new goals for yourself that are centered around your own growth. After a breakup, the future can feel uncertain, but this is a prime opportunity to reflect on your personal goals and what you want for your life moving forward. Whether it's pursuing a career path, furthering your education, cultivating new relationships, or exploring your personal interests, setting goals helps shift the focus from the past to the future. It provides you with a sense of purpose and direction, which is essential for maintaining motivation and a positive mindset as you heal. Reconnect with yourself is by nurturing your support system. While it's vital to rely on your own strength, having friends and family who lift you up and encourage your growth can be incredibly helpful. Surrounding yourself with people who remind you of your worth and who support your journey of healing will reinforce the belief that you are capable of standing on your own 2 feet. These relationships can also offer fresh perspectives, helping you gain clarity and wisdom that might not be apparent when you're consumed by emotions. Part of reconnecting with yourself involves embracing the changes that come with healing. When we go through heartbreak, it's natural to feel as though we've lost a part of ourselves, but the truth is we often emerge stronger and more resilient. The process of healing teaches us valuable lessons about what we want in future relationships, how we want to treat ourselves, and how we want to live our lives. Embrace the opportunity to reinvent yourself and redefine what happiness, success, and fulfillment mean to you. This growth will lead to a more confident, independent, and empowered version of yourself, capable of facing whatever life brings your way. Your heartbreak will get better when you acknowledge your pain, embrace self-care, cut the ties that bind you to the past, give yourself the time to heal, and learn from the experience. Remember this: time will pass, the pain will fade, and you will be stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what's ahead. Keep your head up, your heart open, and trust that your best days are still ahead of you. Thank you.